Part two of this unit is to do with assessment of marketing decisions. It has two very important components. Part one of that would be assessing the strategic marketing decisions, and secondly, to evaluate strategic options which are available to a growing organization. Coming back to the first component, which is about assessing strategic marketing decisions, it's about evaluating determinants of strategic options. So looking into past and existing strategies, for example, because that can have a potential to impact what type of strategy the organization can choose. Also looking into organizational capabilities and resources and constraints as well, which will actually dictate what organizations can do and cannot do in reality. Looking into, for example, financial capabilities and constraints could be a very important part of such analysis. But equally, product market opportunities could be there, which could drive marketeers to go for some strategic options. Or it could be that there is some kind of competitive advantage which they can gain. So looking into some sources of competitive advantage, utilizing the framework suggested by Porter. Or it could be that the marketplace is so competitive that you have to react to what marketers or other organizations are doing, and hence the framework suggested by Kotler in terms of warfare analogies could be very useful here. And then evaluating different approaches and different bases that organizations can adopt when it comes to generating different strategic options. So for example, some companies might still wish to follow a traditional marketing mix route. Others may wish to have a relationship marketing focus. Still others could call themselves market-oriented companies, for example, and others could take the logic of service dominance, for example. The strategic process could be viewed from a resource-based point of view. It could be based from market-based point of view, or it could be based emergent design-based of view or deliberate-based of view. But whatever the case, the candidates need to be able to assess the strengths and weaknesses associated with each approach that the organization utilizes in terms of generating strategic options. And then they should be able to explain and justify a given approach in a given context. The next important component then would be to look into evaluating strategic options available to a growing organization. The first part of that would be to critically evaluating the nature of innovation, for example, the innovative culture within the organization, the new product development, for example, the approach to innovation that the management would be seeking in the existing organization. And then critically evaluating the appropriateness or the suitability of developing an international marketing strategy. So that would involve looking into pros and cons of market entry at an international level. So for example, it could be that when you enter into an international market, it could provide access to low-cost labor or materials. It could be that you wish to sort of achieve economies of scale, or you're after some kind of strategic markets, and you want to access those markets and hence your motivation to enter into international markets. Then critically assessing the issues which would impact organization which is actually aiming to enter international regions or market. So for example, the extent of your global coverage could be a very important issue. The sequence and timing of entry could be an issue for the organization. The value proposition that you're going to offer for global markets could also be a very important issue. And then assessing the relevance of the organization for notions like mergers, acquisitions, alliances, for example, the motivation to enter into alliances and merger could be very important. Then critically evaluating growth strategies for the organization. It could be incremental growth or it could be significant growth, for example. And critically evaluating the concept of relationship marketing to the organization is also part of this unit. So emphasis from a strategic point of view, the emphasis could be on building long-term relationship with customers rather than having a one-off transactional view, which is becoming out of date in current circumstances. So consider how customers, particularly in a B2B context, for example, treating customers as partners, as in-house resource, for example. But in consumer markets, for example, looking at the value they provide, profiling them, looking into, say, for example, 80-20 rule, 20% of your customers could provide 80% of the profitability, and hence the need to identify the profitable customers and target them, and developing loyalty programs to enhance and instill long-term loyalty, for example, is part of the agenda. Then critically evaluating organization's brand and its equity, both from customers' point of view and from financial point of view as well. So issues like brand associations, brand image, perceived quality, brand loyalty, and how that generates brand equity for the marketplace, and also evaluating a number of branding strategies which are actually available to the organization. Then assessing the impact of change, changing the organization's strategic position within the marketplace, so reflecting its business strategy and resonate with customers, for example. In terms of delivery and assessment, you're looking for candidates' ability to apply, say, ENSOF's metrics to generate relevant strategic options, their ability to generate strategic options, and full understanding of organization's history, culture, competencies, assets, and markets, and appreciating the impact of a particular strategic option on market position, on competitive advantage, and brand equity. So their ability to apply their understanding and knowledge in a given context would lead to high marks.